The college's operational planning process results in two very distinct processes. The first of these results in a college operational plan. This is the plan that operationalizes our strategic plan. The strategic plan, again, does not go into tactics, but we can look at the activities and the plans that we're engaged in on a daily basis, and we can see how these connect back to our measurable institutional objectives, our MIOs. These are our strategic priorities for 7 years. Given that they are strategic priorities, not every plan or activity that we engage upon at the college will be in the operational plan, nor will they connect to it. The other process that we have is unit or program based. Every year, each one of our academic programs and our administrative and educational support units, our AES units, engage in annual assessments of one form or another, or they're engaged in a unit review. From these assessments, plans are then developed so that the college can move forward, so that these units can look at whether or not their goals, their outcomes, and their objectives are being met. So that's really where the difference really comes into play. Is that the college's operational plan is about looking at our measurable institutional objectives, these annual activities which are operational plans and which lead to what we call action plans, connect back to the goals and the outcomes of the units and the programs themselves. So it's about improving at that level. So the question is, what is the operational plan? It's a very large document and a prominent document which contains our 6 institutional goals, the measurable institutional objectives under each one, and then a series of plans that have been proposed by members of the President's Executive Cabinet who each hold responsibility for one of the institutional goals. They are detailing the activities in collaboration with their teams that they are going to be looking at with extra scrutiny. For a year, they will be establishing criteria for success, and they will be working with staff from the Planning and Institutional Effectiveness Office to ensure that the plans connect to the measurable institutional objectives and that they are measurable, which is critical. The operational plan is a document which will be a public document. It's an important document for the public to see, and therefore it's important for us to put in the plans that we believe the public needs to know about so that they can see the good work of the college. Now, how did we go about getting this operational plan? As I mentioned, members of the President's Executive Cabinet are responsible for filling out each section. They work with Planning and Institutional Effectiveness, and we work with them throughout the year. In fact, each of the executives gets a liaison from the Planning and Institutional Effectiveness Office to ensure that if there are any data needs, they can be met. Additionally, the Strategic Planning Council reviews the plans. We also have regular progress reports that are done quarterly, the first starting in September, and then quarterly reports until the end of the year. With the first quarterly report, what occurs is that for those 3 months, the executive and their teams communicate with each other and with other executives to ensure that we do not have too much overlap and that the plans are appropriate. The next 2 quarters allow for progress reports to be written. And finally, in the last quarter, we come up with an institutional effectiveness plan that incorporates that information. Dr. McKay meets with each of these executives after the progress reports have been handed in. So why is this operational plan so important? It communicates to our public what we see as important. Because this connects back to our institutional goals and our measurable institutional objectives, this is yet another piece of evidence that shows that we're serious about accomplishing our mission. That is our public statement, again, about what we do. This is another way in which we provide evidence that we are moving in that direction. It's also important to note that federal regulations and our accreditor look very closely at these plans, and they want to make sure that we have a strategic plan, that we're making progress, that we're making changes. This document is how we demonstrate that we take strategic planning seriously and that we are assessing our progress as we move towards the end of that planning period.